All right, ladies, queens, hello. Thank you for still being here. I know it's been a long day because I've been here too. Y'all seen me. So I want us to take a moment to actually stand up because I know y'all tired of sitting. I was tired of sitting. And just kind of do a little shake. Just shake up some of that energy of today, some of that anxiety, tiredness, sleepiness, fullness, whatever. Just shake your hands a little bit, shake your feet if you want to. I'm also doing this so I can relax, okay? And just, I'm gonna ground us in. Oh, no, come back. I'm getting ahead. Okay, all right. Let me put this down because this is my manifestation stick, by the way. I'm gonna talk about it. So as you're standing around, I want you to just take a moment to look around. We've done this earlier today, but look who has stayed around. Take a look around the women and men and allies who have stayed here all day long. And I'm looking around too, because I thought y'all were gonna be half gone by now, so. And then just take a breath right now and center in this moment. Every time that I'm pointing this stick, this is meant to represent presence and love. This is why I have it here. I had to check my bag to bring this little bat-looking thing in, okay? So presence. This moment that we're in right now will never, ever be repeated in all of history of time. I want you to soak that in, and I'm going to say it one more time. This moment that we are in right now will never, ever, ever be ever repeated in the grand scheme of the cosmos, and it is 15 billion years old. Okay? Maybe your heart rate elevated a little bit when I said that. Breathe into it. Take another deep breath and ground that breath into your feet. Stand up straight. Raise your shoulders and then drop them. Raise your crown and then sit down. Thank you all so much for being here with me still. I'm going to put this down a little bit because I like to talk with my hands and I might drop it. So the throne is yours. Soul stability in the face of the unknown. I have been planning this speech for 4 months. I've been teaching it and practicing it all year, well, for the 4 months. And I took a lot of time to figure out, what does this actually mean? Because a lot of times I create titles for talks and then I kind of walk into it. So I didn't actually understand how I had embodied soul stability in the face of the unknown. And what does it mean when the throne is yours? These pictures that are here were chosen on purpose. Every slide represents something about my culture, my history, myself, my connection to something bigger than myself. And I want you to know even how I tell my story and how I share my story, because this could be you too. Not just in the fact of oh, you could be a speaker, but this could be the way that you share yourself to you. The stories that I'm telling you, I've told myself first, over and over and over and over again. And I can share them with you from a place of safety and not fear. Okay, so I was born in Dominican Republic. I took my first breath in Santiago de los Caballeros. Like Nancy mentioned, I am a Dominican American immigrant. I did come here as an immigrant. My first language is Spanish. My second language is English. Thank you. And I was already born in the unknown because my mother, who is very beautifully here, was 30 years old when I was born. And that is not my grandfather. That is my dad. He was 57 when I took my first breath. So from the moment I was born, I was already destined to lose my father young. And it took me a long time to figure out, why did y'all bring me here? Why did you bring me here to leave me? I don't want to be here without you, right? So the other cool thing is that my mom actually died at childbirth. I know I said she's here, but she did die at childbirth and came back. She literally flatlined and came back. So my birth literally did cause her death. And so I was seems like I'm kind of important to be brought into the world. My father was so old. I was the last child of my father, and I was the first girl of my mother. So eldest daughter syndrome, but also youngest child syndrome in one. And middle child too, so I just got all of the things, right? So the lighthouse, what it represents is that inner light that I didn't know that I had. I didn't know that I had an inherent purpose. And as I walk you through my story and my slides and ways that you can use what I have learned to apply to yourself too, I didn't realize that I was born with a purpose that I could align with. I didn't realize that I got to choose what my purpose was. And so the lighthouse is an imagery that I will use throughout our conversation today to get you to anchor on the fact that all of you, if you are here right now, you are here on purpose. If you are here right now, you have worth. If you are here right now, you have value. If you are here right now, you are worthy. You became worthy from the moment you took your first breath, without even having a job, without having a degree. You couldn't even hold your neck up. You were like, right? But you still had purpose because you were born. And the reason why I like to use a lot of astronomy, so I study quantum physics and astrophysics for fun, because why not? There is a 1 in 400 trillion opportunity for either anybody to exist. 1 in 400 trillion for any of you to exist. And yet, here you are. You are extremely rare. There is no one that has ever been like you. There is no one that will ever be like you. You are one in infinity. That's really overwhelming to think about. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm one in infinity. Like, okay, so like, I'm supposed to go to work? Like, what do I do with this information? So, let me not trip up my skirt here. So the third picture here represents my immigration into the US. I was 3 years old when I came here with my parents, and I didn't know at the time that my purpose was going to take me through the US, and I'll talk more about that. But for a while, what I'll say is that I didn't want the American dream. I had the Dominican dream. I didn't want to come here. My mom wanted to come here, and I came along because she was here. But it took me a very long time, like 6 months ago, to figure out why I'm here on this country, on this planet, why I was born in my country, why I was born in this body. And I'm going to walk you through that too. So who I represent today, why I brought my little manifestation stick, is because I want you to think about an object that you have at home that can represent for you a reminder to keep dreaming and desiring. This is something that I use as a ritual every month to remind me to want more things every month. Because many of us are not actually secure attached to what we want. Did y'all hear that? Many of us are not actually securely attached to what we want. We say we want something, we're like, I want this water, and then we're like, no. Because then if I have water, then I will be drenched and quenched, and then I will have to be somebody who is quenched and not thirsty, and I might not be able to stay friends with the people that are still thirsty. Okay? All right, let's keep it going. So, I spent 10 years in corporate, like Nancy shared. I got a PhD. I did all the things that I was supposed to do. I graduated from college at 20 years old. I graduated my PhD at 25 years old. My dream was to work for a Google, LinkedIn, Facebook combination. I moved to California right after my PhD and lived in Monterey for a year and a half. Hated it. Hated my job. Now, Monterey was beautiful. And then I was unemployed for a year. Hated that too. And then I got a job at IBM, and I did talent assessment and coaching. Hated that. Then I left IBM after a couple of near-death experiences. Worked at Deloitte for 5.5 years. Hated that too. Wow. So I was like, I think I might have a problem, because I hate everything, but I worked so hard to get this education and to come to this country, and this American dream is not really sticking. And on top of that, I found myself being like, all right, I'm climbing into my 30s. I'm supposed to want to get married and have kids, but I don't want to do either of those things. Not because I haven't found the right person, I just don't want to enter those paradigms. They're not important to me. I don't know anybody that has not entered those paradigms in my culture. What is wrong with me? I don't enjoy anything that I do, and I don't want to do anything that anybody expects of me. What is wrong with me? I'm unhappy everywhere that I am. I don't think that I have a purpose. What is wrong with me? And that's where I lived for a long time. So the bridge between that to creating, I love that Angel earlier was saying that she made up her own role, because Embodied Liberation Guide is something that I made up. Keynote speaker is something that I had on my vision board before I was speaking or writing or doing anything. I was just hating my job. That was my job. I was really, really good at hating my job, I'll tell you that. And after studying so many different jobs, I have worked at 3 consulting firms. I have supported 45 Fortune 500 companies. I have traveled all over the world. I did the thing. I did all the stuff that you're supposed to do to like fulfill yourself. And I didn't want to do anything else. And I was like, so I'm still alive, so I guess I have a purpose, but like, what is it? And what ended up changing for me was a few things. The pandemic, 7 near-death experiences. That'll really shake you up and make you feel how you feel about living. But I also used the skills that I had learned in qualitative research and quantitative research and job analyses and coaching, and I decided that if I had not yet found what I wanted to do and roles that others had defined, maybe it was time for me to find my own and create my own. So embodied liberation to me means, I study the systems of oppression, the patriarchy, unconscious capitalism, colonization, and white supremacy. And I study how they show up in our daily behaviors, in our relationships, in our romance, with our relationships with money, in our spirituality, in our daily habits. And I disrupt that and I teach that. And so embodied liberation to me is like, I'm not anti-oppression in my head, I'm anti-oppression in my body. The way that I move, the way that I dress, even this outfit was designed on purpose. Every element of what I'm wearing was designed on purpose. There are swirls on my sleeves that represent the swirls of indigenous wisdom. This opening right here, this leg that is out, represents that I walk with peace instead of war, like is depicted in Egyptian sculptures, where they walk with their left feet. So this is how intentional I have been about everything, right? And so what ended up transitioning from this, not knowing what I want to do, creating my own thing, to what I call Queen Mindset Leadership is I was at a point, I was at work right before I left, and I had done this massive leadership study where we had interviewed 100 business leaders at Deloitte and asked them, who makes a great leader? What characteristics are there? And this was like in the middle of the pandemic. So up until that point, they were like results orientation, visioning, like getting things done. It was very masculine. Around the same time, I had started getting a coaching certification and I had learned about the word embodiment. I didn't even know that I had a body. I thought I was all head. So I was like, what do you mean I'm supposed to feel my feelings in my body? I feel sadness up here. And it's like, no, you sometimes feel sadness in your heart space. And I'm like, what heart space? Like, I'm just a floating head that just thinks and like judges the world and hates everything, apparently. And so as I was going through this process, I was the only qualitative PhD researcher on the team. And so my job was to take all of the ideas from the conversations and then find themes. What I found was that the upcoming characteristics of a great leader were what they call soft skills: emotional intelligence, compassion, deep listening, care, empathy, inclusivity. And I was like, wait a minute. In my coaching program, we're learning about those things, and they're calling that feminine energy. What is this? What is this thing that I'm studying? So Queen Mindset Leadership came about because I couldn't find a leadership system that made space for all of me and my life experiences and my identities and my traumas and my femininity and my masculinity. So I made my own, okay? So I have a little question for y'all, and hopefully it works, but if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. In the app, I also asked a poll about this, but this should work too. I want to know what it means to you to be an artist in your own life. You can say a word, you can say a phrase. I'll tell you why I'm going to ask you this after, but just take a couple of moments right now to share some thoughts with me. And I will share them with y'all as it comes up. How much time do I have? Does anybody know? When should I end? Okay. All right. And I will tell y'all that as I'm bringing this up, some of the answers that people were sharing earlier were around writing, freedom, creating, being the creator of my own life. There was that kind of energy that was coming out. I don't want to prime you with things, but I'm just letting you know what's been shared. Okay, things are starting to come up now in the word cloud. Freedom, creative, joy, authenticity, expression, movement, envision and take action, capture moments, vulnerability, self-expression, uniqueness, self-regulation, a baddie, author of my own story, self-regulated, self-expression, you set the rules, pick elements, freedom to create. Okay, y'all are really going hard on this. I love it. Okay, colorful, free spirit. This is amazing. Keep going, y'all. Childlike, wisdom, fulfilled, sentimental, no rules, running, sadness, shining bright, yes, yes, yes. I love it. Okay, now why am I asking y'all about creativity? Y'all have spent all day in here listening to really inspiring talks, and you probably have really inspiring ideas, and you probably have a vision board at home, and you probably have a bunch of stuff that you say you're going to do, and you don't do it because you're scared. You don't do it because you don't see anybody else that's doing it. You don't do it because it's hard. You don't do it because you're busy, because you're tired, because you're sleepy, because you didn't eat yesterday, because of what your mom did 20 years ago, because the earth is spinning, because it's hot outside, because it's cold outside. There's so many reasons why we don't do what we want to do. But if I told you right now, I'm going to give you $10 million and 10 years to do whatever you want to do, will you know what to do with that time and that money? Some of y'all said yes, some of y'all said no. A lot of us don't even know what we want, and it's akin to going into a store that has everything. Imagine you go into a store that has everything, and you're like, you can have whatever you want to. Imagine your life from top to bottom, your friends, your boyfriend, your partner, your kids, your job, everything, everything, everything. What do you want? 5 minutes, go, right? People will be like, I'm just really good at complaining about what I don't have. I don't know what I want. We can become addicted to complaining about stuff. And I was so good at complaining. I did a challenge like 8 years ago where I had a challenge for myself, didn't compete with anybody else, a gratitude challenge, no complaining for 30 days. Woo! That was hard because I really wanted to get to where I'd be like, traffic! And then I had to learn how to talk about stuff without complaining. So instead of saying like, oh, traffic is so bad, like these people don't know how to drive, be like, traffic was interesting today. There were some extra cars on the road than there were yesterday, you know? So there is a way of you to describe a situation without complaining about it. I was about to cuss. Complaining about it. I imagine that if there was a creator that was listening to all of us, it would literally be listening to us just complain about being here. Like, oh, I hate this human experience. I hate that I got up today. I hate that there's traffic. I hate this person. I hate this person. I hate this. Like, we love to complain about what is and are so scared of creating what isn't. You cannot create something new from what is already. Something new means you have to create from the edges of the unknown. That means you have to walk into the edges of the unknown. That means you have to be in the unknown to create from the unknown. And you have to be comfortable doing something that many of you hate to do, not being in control. Yeah, we love being in control. We just think that we can just manifest our way into whatever we want to exactly as we want it. And we're so uncomfortable when things are not the way that we want them to be. We don't know what to do when there's an uncomfortable situation, and you know what you have to do? Breathe. I'm going to cue that a few more times. Breathe. When you're uncomfortable, breathe. You're sad, breathe. You're in grief, breathe. You hate somebody, breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. 23,000 breaths we take a day. How many of those do we actually notice? How many times do we wake up and we're like, thank you, I woke up? Because there's many people that go to bed and they don't. So in our journey today, I'm going to go super hard on creativity. But I want to show you the way that I started to create myself. This is an example of, I teach a Creative Awakening class in Dallas. And this is one of the ways that I love to introduce myself because it really makes you think outside of the box. A lot of us, we introduce ourselves by our LinkedIn profile, pun intended. And this is a way that makes no sense. This is how I introduce myself. I have specialties in leadership and coaching. I have a PhD. I study quantum and astrophysics for fun. AI is my BFF. I study systems of oppression. I'm a recovering Catholic. I know that resonates with so many of you. I'm a grief guide, and I'm a creativity activist. I really encourage people to self-express because we need what you have. I don't know what it is, but we need what you have. And it wasn't until I started thinking and feeling that what I had within me needed to be expressed that all of this, what you're seeing, actually made sense. Because the thing that all of these things, as random as they may seem, have in common is me. I get to be all of these things, even if they're opposite. I get to be crazy and a PhD. I get to be a bruja and a PhD. I get to be tall and uncoordinated. I get to study astrophysics and not know how to follow directions. Just because I understand really complicated things doesn't mean I understand simple things, okay? I get real lost sometimes. People are like, you got a PhD? Like, yeah, I do, but I didn't get a PhD in this. So this is also an amazing example for all of you to take on how to see yourselves differently. I highly recommend that all of you get a whiteboard and put your name in the middle and map yourself out. Stream of consciousness, don't even overthink it. Who are you? Who are you? And don't put your role, your job title, who your kids are, your husband. Don't put anybody else, who are you, when nobody else is in the room. And the reason that I put marriage and child free is because when I was trying to figure out and recreate my American dream, I had to get out of my culture, get out of my heritage to become me. I had to figure out what I wanted to do with all this lifetime of time that my parents had worked so hard to give me, and I was never appreciative of it because I told my mom all the time, like, I didn't want to come here. Earth is ghetto. There's a lot happening here, right? But I'm here, and every day that I wake up, I'm like, I must have purpose. So when I asked myself, who am I outside of systemic oppression, that was a lot. Because I'm not just Latina, I'm Afro-Latina. So I'm here in this room full of y'all, but I don't see a lot of you all looking exactly like I do, and I still have to feel like I belong. How do I do that? I walk into Black spaces, I'm different because I'm an immigrant and my first language is Spanish, and sometimes I forget English. I walk into Latina spaces and I'm different because I have a giant afro and I'm tall. I walk into spaces of entrepreneurs and I'm different because I'm not a mom. I'm always different everywhere that I go. So what do you do? How do you feel like you belong when you're a unicorn? How do you belong when you never belong anywhere that you are, when you can't blend in, when you literally stick out everywhere you are? How do you belong? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so here's the journey. I want to go ahead and get this out of your vocabulary, que ni de aquí ni de allá. Please, it is time to retire it. And where we're going to go is de aquí y de allá. ¿Ya? Yo soy de aquí y de allá. Let's say it together. Yo soy de aquí y de allá. Soy de aquí y de allá. We're going to retire the first one, okay? Because if you are here, if your feet are here, you belong. If you're still breathing, you belong. If you're born, you belong. That's it. That's the entry fee to earth. Existing. Everything else is made up. Literally every construct, everything that I'm saying right now was created. When a child is born, they know nothing. They don't even know how to take care of themselves. There's no rules. All of the rules are made up, and if all the rules are made up, they can be remade. So the journey into the unknown, when I really thought about this, I thought about all of the things that I have done to figure out who I am. Therapy and coaching and reading books and walks outside on the mental health walks. All kinds of things. I've read over 400 books. I got a PhD. I travel all over the world. I've talked to many friends. I've dated. I have done so many things to find myself. And I find that often the way that you figure out who you are is by comparing yourself to what you're not. I am not a traditional woman. I am not someone who was born for the traditional path. I am not a small box thinker. I am not someone who can be fit in a box. I do not like to follow rules. I like to break them. But in order to break rules, you have to know what they are. You can't be disruptive without knowing the game. So what I have here with the gems, are there any yoga lovers in here? Okay, all right. So what they represent is the chakras. The chakras are a way, whatever your spirituality is, it is a way to help you get grounded in yourself. We're going to walk through that journey now. I'm going to talk about why it's so important that you see yourself as a creator, because if you do not see yourself as an inherently creative person that can create a new path, you won't. You cannot create if you don't see yourself as a creative. There's a few book recommendations that I'll throw out throughout, but I am a cult leader for the book The Artist's Way. If y'all haven't read it, add it to your list ASAP. Because what it does is it teaches you what your relationship with spirituality is and heal it, if you haven't already. And it teaches you that you've always been a creative and you've forgotten. So for those of you that are not artists, not creatives, that don't see yourself as creative, you're lying to yourself. You are creative. Every outfit that you picked today was a creative act. The way you did your hair today was a creative act. What you decided to eat today was a creative act. The fact that you're here today is a creative act. It was a choice, a conscious choice, and that is creation. Okay? So, the first part, we're going to go in maritime right here. And I did have to do some research on what it's like to navigate the ocean because I am not a maritime girly, okay? But what I have found, what I'm teaching you is what I have found in my journey of how did I get from not knowing what I wanted and hating everything to creating my own path. The first part is what I call creative awakening. And for this part, it's about really aligned with the first three chakras. This is one of the hardest places where you can spend your entire life here. Many people will, okay? Realizing that you are a creator of art and reality, okay? You have to see yourself as being grounded to this planet. There's an existential rooting. It's not a rooting to culture. It's an existential rooting to your breath, to the fact that you are here in an unbroken timeline that is 15 billion years old. And you're here, breathing, moving, seeing, listening, using your senses to exist. So when the picture of my parents here is me remembering that I was adored even when I forgot, because that's what trauma does to you. And if you're a human, you got trauma. I'm sorry to tell you this, okay? If you're a human, you got ancestors, you also got generational trauma. I'm sorry. It's just part of the human experience. So this first part is about you realizing that you're a creative. You realizing, and I want y'all to say these words with me, I belong here. I belong here. I feel and create. I trust my power. I trust my power. Some of those might be triggering for y'all, but it's okay. We'll get through it. The next part. So the ship really means that you realize who you are, what you are, your values, your identities, your inheritances, whether they be emotional, your mindsets. A lot of the therapy and coaching work fits under that creative awakening part that we do. Creative liberation is where now the cosmos and the ancestors come in. The ocean and the storms really represent the fact that you are leaving the safe harbor to go out into the unknown to find something where that isn't where you are. That's the only reason you would go into the unknown, is if you hate it here. Because otherwise, why would you leave? If everything is 10 out of 10 in your life, then why would you leave? But if there is something in your life that you don't want it, first of all, you don't have to accept it. You have to admit that you don't want that you desire something else, and then be courageous enough to say it out loud and then go after it. There is no charge for dreaming, and many of us have forgotten to do that. Creative liberation means that you start to understand that if you are a human, you are subject to the systems that I mentioned earlier. I don't care who you are, what your skin color is. Women inherit misogyny. People of color inherit white supremacy. Indigenous people inherit colonization. We all inherit unconscious capitalism. We all inherit the systems. And unless you are doing anti-systems work, you are part of the systems. I'm not blaming, I'm just saying, because we don't even know how much they impact us. So creative liberation is when you start to realize that you have to go within yourself. This is the part of the speech where I talk about in the face of the unknown, soul stability in the face of the unknown. This is where the first part is you stability. Your breath work, your nervous system regulation, your somatic practices, your walking practices, seeing yourself as a spiritual being that has value. And then this part is about trusting something else outside of you and deconstructing that. This is ancestral work, lives here too. This is you realizing, looking up at the stars, realizing that you're part of something greater than yourself as well. And then lastly, creative sovereignty is where you actually realize that you are the lighthouse. You're not looking for the lighthouse, you are the lighthouse. You know what you want and what your purpose is on this planet. You know that. But you have to get quiet to listen to it. You have to get quiet to tune into yourself and figure out, why are you here? Why'd you come to this planet? Why are you in your body? Why'd you come to this country? Why do you speak that language? Why do you have that hair? Why is your skin color like that? All of that is on purpose. I believe that I was immensely perfectly designed in this body on purpose. I couldn't be a white man talking about what I talk about. I love that I am an Afro-Euro-Indígena woman because I represent 3 races that I've had to learn to love and coexist with. I love that I get to say those words because it means that now I'm entering to your vernacular the fact that you are both Latina and you have racial mixes, and some of those means that there's ancestral work that you have to work with. We have to forgive our ancestors to retrieve their jewels. Okay? So creative sovereignty for me is like you are leading from yourself. You are leading from your values, your vision, because you realize that part of your purpose is being a lighthouse for others as well. We are all here to teach. And when we don't take the responsibility to own our lives and embody what we have gone through, you don't need a certificate for your life. You are the master of your life. You can teach everything that you've been through. That is the certification. You went through it, boom, certified. Okay? So one of the last couple of things that I want to close with is these pictures here. I chose them all on purpose. The first picture is my big T trauma experience. Is the moment that I was being sent back to Dominican Republic and lightly deported for a year because I had been in the US for a couple of years at that point, going to school, and I wasn't supposed to. This was before ICE. And I got caught, and my mom had called me before. She's like, hey, Carol, you're coming back to New York in September. I was 8. If they ask you why you're coming back to New York in September, don't tell them it's for school. Tell them it's for your birthday. My birthday's September 27th. So I was like, I bet. So I'm like traveling with my little friends. The flight attendants are with me. I'm having a good time. And then they pull me over, question me by myself for 2 hours. Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? I thought that when adults asked you questions that it was okay to tell the truth. And I told them the truth. And then I got in trouble for it. And so for about 20 years of my life, I didn't trust myself because I trusted my truth and I was punished for it. And it has taken me decades to regain that trust. And so the reason that I even have those pictures even similarly placed, I wanted you to see the progression from a girl who was scared and was sent back, and I came back and I reclaimed my life. This is my version of my American dream. My dog, not a child, no marriage. Do not ever put it, like literally I tried to wear one of my rings on my ring finger and I broke out in an allergy. I was like, okay, body, we do not want to be married, I get it. This is my creative awakening class that I teach where I teach about Albert Einstein, quantum physics, astrophysics is one of my favorite things to do because what happens at a quantum level is you realize everything is always changing. And then whenever there's a piece of article that collapses from a wave into a particle when you observe it. And so that means that the reality that you envision collapses when you observe it. When you pay attention to something, it collapses infinity into one. At a quantum level, that's just science, not woo-woo, it's just science. All woo-woo, by the way, is based on science, it just hasn't caught up yet. And the fact that we even say woo is colonization because it's actually indigenous wisdom. So let's just talk about that. And so here is me at the Arboretum. It's one of my favorite places in Dallas. I did not pay anybody to do my makeup. I did a pro bono photography session compared to the first picture that I took where I spent lots of money and lots of time trying to be perfect. I am no longer trying to be perfect because I am not. That is my way of overcoming white supremacy, is letting go of perfectionism. Okay? And so when you get to this point where you've mastered creative sovereignty, and this is a lifetime practice, I'm saying it simply, this is a lifetime practice, it turns into something like this. And I love that my motto looks like an afro, and that is on purpose. Okay? Embodying Green Mindset leadership is about a different kind of leadership. It is cyclical, it is ancestral, it is creative, it is liberatory. It starts with you seeing yourself as more than a body. You're a spiritual being, you're a mental being, you're an emotional being. For the yoga girlies and the yoga guys, koshas, something to look up later. 5 different ways of examining yourself beyond your physical form. Creative liberation, I said ancestral work, cosmos, tying yourself as if you were born, the year that you were born, specifically on purpose. I want you to ask yourself when you go home, why was I born when I was born? Why was I born to my parents? Why was I born in this body? You will find so much about yourself when you get to that point. And then lastly, creative sovereignty is speaking from a place of wholeness, knowing that no matter what you have been through, you are whole. You are whole, you are whole, you are whole. You are an integrated human being. You are perfectly designed, even if you've been through trauma. We all have. It is the human experience to go through trauma, okay? So Queen Mindset Leadership came from a place where I couldn't find all of these versions of myself in leadership before. I'd been studying leadership for 2 decades. And for me, what this does is it allows me to have a daily, weekly, monthly practice of embodiment, of self-attunement. The same way that you wouldn't just have a baby and just be like, all right, just figure it out, here's some milk, I'll be back in 2 weeks, right? It would die. So why do we not spend daily time attuning to ourselves? Who am I? How do I feel? What do I want? Those are things that you have to know about you. So what I want you to think about as a takeaway is I want you to start thinking about one thing that you will add to your calendar that is just for you. Time with you. I want you to date yourself. I want you to start doing things in the world for you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your responsibilities are. I want you to start seeing yourself as someone who deserves to spend time with yourself, because my best friend in the world is me. Guess what? I got to be with me forever. As long as I'm on this planet, I got to be with me, and I'm going to make that enjoyable. Become your own best friend. Know yourself so deeply that when somebody comes and says that you have to do something that you know you don't want to do, you be like, nah, I'm good. All right? Reclaim your yeses and your nos so powerfully that you could fight a 2-year-old, because y'all just be knowing at each other, right? Right? They're so good at it. They have so much to teach us. So that is what I want you to take away. Is I want you to spend more time with yourself. Fall in love with who you are. Be in gratitude with the fact that you are here. And realize that the visions that you have, don't think about just what the career is that you want, the money that you want to have. Think about the fact that we will all die one day. And what do you want at the end of your life to look forward at everything that you have done and been, not just done? How much have you rested? How much have you created? How much have you laughed? How much joy have you had? How much pleasure have you gained from being on this planet? It's one life, just one. And you never know when it's going to end. So what I want to leave you with as a last impression, first of all, I want to say that for my website, it's going to be kind of fun if y'all go check it out, because I took the list of terms that you're not supposed to use in the government regarding certain inclusive terms, and I turned it into poetry, and that's what my website is. All right? So liberation, disruption does not have to be that doesn't have to look like what you see on the streets. It could just be small things like making your website into poetry, and nobody knows unless you tell them, all right? I want you to realize that you have power because you're here. It doesn't matter what body you're in. I have more marginalizations than most people that I know, and yet I am the luckiest person in the world because I am me, and there's never going to be another Caroline Garcia in all of time. And there's never going to be anyone like you in all of time as well. So I'm going to take my manifestation stick back again. And as you look at this, I want you to think about this light that you have within you and learn to follow it and trust that it will lead you to where you want to go. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time.